to do something about my chins, like turn the view screen around. Hi there. If you're new around here, you can call me Rose, and that's okay because I'm new around here too. I am going to be doing phase 1 of my prompt from last week, which was to create something and then destroy it. I have decided to create a poem. It starts with a guillotine of terror gliding into the center of your brain. Into the center of your brain. And it takes an insidious journey through the nooks of your life. It's a stubborn blind spot in your periphery. A shadowed deluge that drowns your white blood cells. A terrible rot that leaches its arsenic into the infinity symbol ornamenting your throat. And then suddenly, the lie's claws are raking through your guts, dragging tiny what-if infections in the basements of your veins, festering through your sun shafts and reaching its fingers into your next winter. And you're scrambling, scraping the breeze from the wingtips of your butterflies and shaving the strips of a dull monochrome from the zephyr palette where there was once an impossible whirl of color. And it's the way the panic popcorns inside your lungs and acid eats its way to the center of your chest, where it makes a home of the crater where your sternum used to be. And the sky is falling. The sky is falling. And with it comes a brand new mirror, a brand new disappointment, a brand new reflection that I just can't bear. It has a selfish way of sucking the sunshine right off your skin. It has a black hole face and a black hole grip, choking the light right out of you, just so it can see itself as the bile in your notebook. And then suddenly you're starving your muse until she's all vapor and discarded rose thorns, a drought-boned skeleton of every golden pond of twilight she wants to dive into, leaping into the despair pits of dead sunflower throats, until she's piled under the half-eaten debris of all the haikus staled inside their unwritten moments. Your muse is parked in the dirt lot of the candlelight vigil for her flow. And then suddenly your sense of humor is visiting her mausoleum, the undergrounds of a country or two away, making friends with the angel mounted on someone else's dashboard. And you sit somewhere on the ridge of try and try again, barely breathing beneath a blank stare mask, pinned inside a gray-skinned torment, where somewhere along the way it begins to respond for you when someone asks how you're doing. And then suddenly you're afraid to let him love you with the lights on. And then suddenly your landscape of scribbles inside, all poetry scraps and jaded autumns, and a never-ending chase from the dirge of yesterday. You're all swept together in a lopsided braid with the overwhelming ivies of fear. And suddenly you're painfully aware that there's nothing more tragic than the atrophy of a paralyzed life. I'm going to find a way to destroy this poem. I think I'm going to do what I said, and I'm going to tape it to the bottom of my shoes while I go for a nice little walk to the park, and I'll just let nature and the city do my editing for me this time. Phase 2, destruction. I am walking myself to the park with my poem face down on the ground, on my foot. We're letting nature edit for us today. That's a dick. Seems fitting. Maybe I had to be there. That's what I was waiting for. Ta-da! Here I am, once again, under my great big tree. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, it starts with a guillotine of terror gliding into the center of your brain. Into the center of your brain. And it takes an insidious journey through the nooks of the blind spot in your periphery. Shadow deluge that drowns in the white. Rot that leaches its arsenic into the infinity symbol, ornamenting your throat. And then suddenly, the lie's claws are raking through your guts, dragging tiny what-if infections into the basements of your veins, through your sun shafts, and reaching its fingers into your next winter. And you're scraping the breeze from the wingtips of your butterflies, and shaving the dull monochrome from the zephyr palette, where there was once an impossible whirl of colors. And it's the panic popcorning inside your lungs, and it acid eats its way to the center, where it makes a home of the crater where your sternum and the sky is falling. And with it comes a brand new mirror, a brand new disappointment, a brand new reflection I just can't bear. And as a selfish way of sucking the sunshine right off your skin, and as a black hole face, and a black hole grip choking the light right out of you, just so it can see itself in your notebook. And then suddenly you're starving. Drought-boned skeleton leaping into the despair pits of dead throats, until piled under the half-eaten debris, while the haikus staled inside unwritten moments. Your muse is parked in the dirt lot of her flow. And then suddenly you're visiting her mausoleum, the underground of a country away, an angel mounted on someone else's dashboard. And you sit somewhere and try again, barely breathing beneath a mask, and somewhere along the way it begins to respond for you. Suddenly you're afraid to let him love you with the lights on. And suddenly you're all poetry scraps and jaded autumns, all swept together in a lopsided braid with the ivies of fear. And suddenly you're nothing more tragic than the atrophy of life. This poem was about anxiety, living with anxiety, and it paralyzes people. It paralyzes people to the point where a lot of people are unable to leave their house. They're unable to talk to their friends or their families. The poem didn't go through as dramatic a transformation as I would have liked, and I had thoughts of running it through the blender one more time, but I said, you know what? I lost some words and I lost a couple of sentences in there, and I think it still held its meaning. I still would like to talk a little more about anxiety. I think it's something that a lot of people are afflicted with. It's something that Mr. and or Mrs. RuPaul Charles likes to refer to as our inner saboteur. You know, it's something that holds us back from reaching our potential. I didn't want to do this YouTube channel. I resisted. I resisted starting this channel for a long time. I have been encouraged to pursue YouTube by someone who shall remain nameless. And a lot of the reasons that I did that were that inner saboteur in my periphery yelling at me in my ear, you know, that I'm not good enough, that I'm not beautiful enough, that I'm not talented enough, that my ideas aren't up to par. Because in the beginning I thought, well, if I did pursue YouTube, what could I do? What could I do? I could maybe do a makeup channel, because I have honed my skill slightly. But I thought, if all I can do with YouTube is to make another YouTube channel about makeup tutorials in the huge haystack of YouTube channels about makeup tutorials, not that there's anything wrong with that. I have watched quite a few myself and I enjoy them very much, and I tip my hat to all of the wonderful makeup artists on YouTube that do their thing every single day and make the world a little more beautiful. But and I thought, if all I can do is go with the grain, what am I doing? And that's not to say that maybe I'll never do a makeup tutorial on YouTube. I might do a tutorial of this look because I like this look very much. But the point is, I thought, if I do it, I want to do something different. All along I've had that voice in my head that's like, you're not good enough. You're not good enough at art to showcase your art on YouTube and encourage other people. And nobody has ever cared about anything you've had to say. What's gonna make them care now? I've had that voice in my head all along, and that is the voice of the inner saboteur. And that's the voice that we have to try to muffle every day to overcome our anxieties. And I believe that this channel is going to help me do that, because I'm putting myself out there in a way that I never have. And I thought I never would. And so, if I can do it, I know everybody else can do it. I'm here to encourage you every step of the way, because you can do great things. And as I wrote as a quote in my bullet journal, worry is a misuse of imagination. If we could take all of that anxiety and all of that negative self-talk and all of that, the things that we imagine that could go wrong, and apply our imagination in a different way to a different medium, we could do so much more. And you'd be on the road to overcoming so much of what has held you back. With that in mind, as a prompt for next week, I want us to revisit maybe an art piece or a piece of writing or poetry that you worked on and were not happy with. Here's mine. This is a painting that I was working on a couple of weeks ago. I am new to painting. It's something that I've been trying to do I've been trying to learn painting maybe within the past few months. I'm not a great painter yet. I believe with more practice, I can get there. You know, when I'm done with this painting, I'll be a better painter. And that's the mindset that I try to stick to. But the point is, I was never happy with this painting. And to be completely honest, I never really finished it, because I put it on the back burner and I started doing other things, and I said, you know what, let me revisit this at a later time. Let me look at it with fresh eyes and see where else I can go with it, and see if I can get to the point where I can convey what I actually wanted to convey with it. But instead of that, I think I'm gonna give myself a do-over. I'm gonna take this concept and I'm going to refurbish it in a new painting, and go find an old painting, an old drawing, an old poem, something you did that you were never 100% happy with, revisit it, rethink it, redo it. Give yourself a second chance. Give your idea a second chance. And as an alternative, if you've never done anything like that, if you've never done a painting or never written a poem and you're new to all of this and you think you should start by finding a way to give your inner saboteur a voice, or give your inner saboteur a face, put it down in writing, give it a painting. My tree is getting in the way. Give it a tangible identity. If you can give it a face or a voice, you're on the way to silencing that voice. You're on the way to smudging your hand across that face. You're on the way to shining a light on that shadow. And I think it would be a good exercise for a lot of people with anxiety. That imagination that makes you worry about everything, and put the worries aside and apply your imagination into something creative. And I think so if you want to participate, it's either give yourself a redo or give that inner saboteur a moment more to shine, because then it's just like you. It's just another being that can be knocked down. And I hope we'll see more of each other. And remember to go out and make yourself.